The jobs report beat expectations, but the media spun it like bad news. Headlines focused on a small drop from last month, ignoring the real story. Government jobs fell, but the private sector crushed estimates. Cutting bureaucracy while growing business? That's not weakness, that's strength. Watch the full video, because sometimes the truth is buried in the fine print of good data.
Okay, moving on to thing number two, Gary. I'm cracking up as I'm preparing my notes here, but I know what thing number two is. My notes say the press misleading us about a particular report. We talked about the jobs report earlier in the opening. You're saying that, hey, it might be better than many think. And then thing number two says the press misreads the job report, which I'm sure it is either they misled or they might have just misread it and have no idea what they're talking about. So help us break that down.
So it's kind of funny that you say that, Rob, because over the weekend when I was writing this version of the 5 things, I went back multiple times. And at one point I actually had misreads, strike through, misleads the job report, and it just didn't read right. But right or wrong, you nailed it. So yeah. The reason why I have not been reporting on the various jobs reports for months now is just because they've been relentlessly unreliable. But this time, it was the press that was unreliable. We got the May jobs report that also comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the BLS, and NBC, the National Broadcasting Corporation, derisively reported that, I'm quoting, U.S. added 139,000 jobs in May as the labor market steadily cools. Oh boy, that sounds horrible. Rob, a cooling labor market, that's not good for anyone, is it? So they correctly noted that the new jobs exceeded estimates for 120,000, right? They had 139,000, so it was more than the 120,000 estimate, but it's a decline from the prior month's 147,000. Okay, that's true, but as we've talked about before, Mark Twain wrote about the misleading nature of statistics. I agree NBC's using the right numbers, but I'm very skeptical.
Yeah, Gary, and then if NBC is using the right numbers, I mean, where does the skepticism come from? Obviously, we've talked about in the past, just any sort of reporting that seems to be coming out, regardless of where it's coming from. Is it just that continued skepticism with this information?
Yeah, so the prior White House, one of the ways that they constantly had good labor reports is they increased government employment, right? So they would add thousands and thousands of government employees, and that made the employment statistics look artificially positive. And why would they care, right? It's our money. They were debasing our money supply, so it looked good for them. And one of the things that I always like to do is I like to delineate between jobs in the productive private sector and the ones in government, which are a tax on citizens. So last month, government employment was down by an enormous 22,000 jobs. What that means is the headline number was the United States added 139,000 jobs, but the productive private sector added 161,000 jobs. And so, Rob, generally, the market views beating estimates by a few thousand jobs as significant. In this case, the Trump administration is reducing wasteful government jobs, which helps the economy, but hurts their reporting. Last month, the private sector beat that 120,000 estimate by more than 40,000 jobs. That's significant, right? And so when NBC is saying, oh, employment is down, no, employment among government workers is down. Employment among the productive private sector is actually not only up, but it's up at an increasing rate, beating the estimate by 40,000, but also growing from where they were a month before. So, I think what they were doing was misreading and misleading.
Yeah, complete opposite, right? When we were talking about that bifurcated economy, their jobs reports coming out in which it was reflecting tons of job growth, only for it to be reflected in public sector. So obviously, now we got to look at the information the other way. Crazy how the world turns. But moving forward, again, this is the 5 things by Deep Knowledge Investing. The tariffs didn't create a disaster issue. Please subscribe, or give us a thumbs down and tell us why we're no good. that would be amazing. We actually welcome that. Bring it on. Gary loves it more than anything. You can head to our website, deepknowledgeinvesting.com. Use the Ask Gary feature to submit any questions to the show, as well as check out a free subscription that'll get you added to our email list, and a premium subscription gets you access to all gated content.